Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of My Horror Stories. D-Bougie86 back up in this. That is right, guys. If you are following this new series I've been doing, you know that My Horror Stories is sort of not a review. It's kind of my history with a movie. And the film I got today is kind of one that I didn't even know had a release on DVD when I was searching for movies, and then I found out it did from a company known as Blue Underground. But I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. But today's movie that I'm going to talk about, my history with it, is Anguish. Yeah, sorry. I'm actually using a new camera for this, so if you notice, it's kind of interesting the way the aspect ratio, because it's a lot more in my face than my old camera is. But Anguish, yeah, it's a Spanish film from 1987 directed by Bigas Luna. This is actually the only movie I ever seen from this director, so I'm not really too sure of like his vast majority of movies or anything like that. Yeah, this film actually stars Zelda Rubinstein and Michael Lerner. Zelda Rubinstein you might remember as Tangina from Poltergeist franchise. And Michael Lerner, the first movie I actually knew of him, like as I seen him an actor, is actually a movie I fucking hate, and that is Godzilla 98. He plays Mayor Ebert in the movie. And if you know about that casting and the choice of character names, he is Mayor Ebert, and his assistant is named Siskel, because Roland Emmerich had a beef with Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel at the time for their views on his film before 98 Godzilla, Independence Day. And it's kind of funny, because they do like the thumbs up shit all the time in the movie. But even when Ebert and Siskel reviewed Godzilla 98, they're just asking themselves, if he hated us so much, why didn't he just fucking kill us? Why did he keep us through the whole movie? Which is a good point, Ebert and Siskel. I'll give you that much. It's true. Fuck that movie. But Michael Lerner I also seen in movies like No Escape. He's a bit character actor. I see him pop up in a bunch of movies. But I remember him from Godzilla 98. And he was the warden in the film No Escape, which is kind of like, it's kind of like Escape from New York, but not. It's about like this big giant island prison where everyone, if you're there, you're fucked. Great movie. Lance Henriksen, Ray Liotta, Stuart Wilson. I recommend that one. But back to Anguish. The first time I ever seen Anguish was when I was probably like 8 or 9, and it was on. My cousin actually gave me a bunch of like his old VHSs that he recorded a bunch of movies on, and like the secret way of doing it with like kind of, you do the 2 VCR setup where you take one, put the VCR in of the movie you rented, and the one you're recording, and tape over it, and do it, of course, in EP fashion, so you can fit majority of mad movies on it. And that's what he used to do. And I got a few of his VHSs that he gave me once, and this movie was on it with another movie that I'm going to talk about in another episode, which was an interesting, like a few movie feature that I watched. I watched all those in one day. And Anguish was the weirdest one, because if you haven't seen this movie before, it's kind of an interesting aspect where it's a movie within a movie. The movie that they're watching is actually the movie, because the whole movie starts out in a movie theater, and they're going to see this movie in the theater, and Michael Lerner and Zelda Rubinstein are in the movie within the movie type deal. While they're watching this movie with these two in it, a serial killer is stalking and killing people inside the movie theater as this is going on as well. It's a very interesting aspect. It's actually the first film that I ever seen do this, but it's not the last. It's a very interesting aspect because movies like this have happened since this movie. This was like my first experience with this type of experience because I'm watching this movie when I was a kid and like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? This is weird because it's going inside the movie they're watching and we're imported into that world of that movie, but then do we get out of it and we're imported into like the storyline of the people watching the movie? It's a very interesting aspect, and movies like Matinee and Popcorn, which came a few years later after this one, really built off that kind of angle because we got to see like scenes from Mant while they were watching that movie. In Popcorn, we got to see scenes of the movies they were watching throughout the night, and films like even like Chillerama kind of owe this movie kind of inspiration because if you remember Chillerama, they went to like this drive-in experience where actually the fourth feature of the night was defecation, and it ended up getting stopped because, spoiler alert, the main storyline with the people in the drive-in actually become the fourth story of that anthology film, which I found very interesting. And it kind of owes the aspect of Anguish as an influence for it in that sense, I'm not really too sure of movies prior to this that did like this in a movie within a movie aspect involved like a drive-in or like a theater view, like maybe even Demons came a little bit before this one, but that's only like one major scene of a movie. This is like the whole movie is like that in a sense. Yeah, and the interesting thing is I didn't know how if this movie had like a release after this. I kind of forgot about this movie for the longest time, and the thing is, I was watching a few like Blue Underground like top 10 videos or like collection overviews, and I saw that this movie had a release, which you could still get. I think it's actually, they don't actually have the rights to this movie, but they still have copies of it to give away. It's that type of, they can't get rid of Anguish, It's kind of a hidden gem for me, this film, in that sense, where one day, if this movie ever gets a Blu-ray, it's day one buy for me. The thing about Anguish that I really like is watching it now with like my new vision. It's kind of a polarizing film going back to it because it's movies like this where I got to love the cinema experience, and I kind of miss it now in this new age of the digital world and plus the pandemic going on. It brings back a sense of style, which I think you watch this movie, it's fucking great. Some very Giallo-esque moments and a lot of eye horror in this film, especially with the part that's in the movie with, I just noticed I actually went into the eye. Oh boy. It's an interesting film that I think a lot of people will appreciate now more than they probably did when they came out. If you haven't seen Anguish, I recommend it. Check it out. This DVD actually looks pretty fucking, like most Blue Underground DVDs do. I'm actually shocked how much the prints of some of their DVDs look better than some of their actual Blu-ray releases. I can't speak on some 4Ks because I actually, honestly, haven't watched a lot of my Blue Underground 4Ks yet that I picked up. I only have a few, and I don't have a lot of them. But, Anguish. I recommend this movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And if you have seen it, tell me your story with it. I'm very curious about your history with this movie. So check it out and let me know. Alright guys, that's it for this episode of My Horror Stories. I hope you enjoyed it. Still getting used to this new camera angle thing. I had this camera before, and I just didn't put it back in because my other camera for my new computer all of a sudden stopped, and I wanted to make a video and it wouldn't work. So this one's more HD heavy, as you can see, because you can see like all the grisly features of my beard for once. After my 7 o'clock shadow per se. But yeah, make sure shave next time, because this is, even looking at it's kind of crazy. But anyways, guys, enough of that. I'll see you next video. Bye bye.